Litchfield, and the mayor will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you join me in a moment of prayer? Almighty God, we gather this evening hour to conduct the business of the city. We offer our prayer for our mayor, for the president, for the members of the city council, and for all in authority. Grant unto them a sense of justice, strength, and wisdom as they perform their duties on behalf of all thy people. We commend your gracious care in keeping all the men and women of our armed forces at home and abroad, our law enforcement community, and fire and rescue. Defend them day by day with your heavenly grace. Strengthen them in their trials and temptations. Give them courage to face the peril we beset them, and grant unto each a sense of your abiding presence wherever they may be. Remember those upon a bed of affliction. Comfort those who mourn. In thy name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you wish to be heard at this meeting, please sign the speaker list provided on the table on the table to my left in the council chamber. And the president has the right to limit the amount of each speaker has for each agenda item. Call roll, Ms. Rowe.
Ms. Crary?
Here.
Mr. Ricks?
Here.
Mr. Leszcz?
Yes, here.
Ms. Nicholas?
Here.
Mayor Moe?
Move to agenda item number 5, approval of minutes of the 28th meeting of March 25th, 2013. It's the pleasure of the council. We can. Okay. We will move the approval of minutes of the 28th meeting of March 25th, 2013 to the next meeting, which is 2 weeks from today. Move to agenda item number 6, report of the mayor and city council. And I'll start tonight with Mr. Ricks.
Well, I'd like to state that myself and Council President Smalls and Mr. Les attended our bagels with the council on Saturday at the DePietro building. It was rather light, and I would imagine most of the people were out with their children having a good time in the good weather. We are available, and the schedule's marked accordingly when we are going to be either at the DePietro building or at the Laurel Armory on Montgomery Street. And we do, if any resident has any issue they want to sit down and talk to us about, I would encourage them to come forward. I've also met recently with the Laurel Police Department to plan their golf tournament, which will take place, and I'm glad to say this, it will take place at the Laurel Pines Country Club, and it will be in September. And not September, it's, what is it? What did I say? All right, age again. Does anyone have the date? I've forgotten it already. I'll get back to you. But anyhow, we're planning it with the police department, and it's for Special Olympics, and we're going to have a great turnout, and I look forward to that. Also, went to the evening play with the Discovery Park, and to recognize the dangers and all the damage that has been done down there, and we look forward to seeing that park put up and put back into shape. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ricks. Move next to Ms. Nicholas.
I just wanted to remind everyone that tomorrow night here at City Hall from 5:30 to 6:30, it's drop-in with the council, so we're inviting all citizens to stop by. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholas. Ms. Crary.
Thank you, Mr. President. On March 26, Congressmember Donna Edwards came to town for a tour of businesses. The mayor and my colleagues on the council toured with her. Also at the Discovery Park, I want to thank everybody for coming out. It was a very large group, including our police department too, and that was wonderful. Wonderful to see everybody at the end of winter too, if we are there. On Saturday, I attended a HEPAC meeting, hometown emergency. That was here, and Laurel hosted, and Mr. Fleming and myself gave a tour of the EEOC, emphasis on Mr. Fleming. Also, we've had several fundraisers for the July 4th committee during the past couple of weeks, and this Saturday there'll be 2 fundraisers, the indoor yard sale and also a bull roast in the evening. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Crary.
Mr. President, may I?
Briggs, go ahead.
All right. The date of the Special Olympics golf tournament is May the 31st, and I've got it mixed up with another function in September.
Okay. As was mentioned, we had the pleasure of having Representative Donna Edwards here in Laurel. And it was truly a pleasure to walk down the street and meet some business people. Spend a few minutes talking with her about, I got to talk to her about transportation, because it turns out she's on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, and they're now working on the new reauthorization. Hopefully it won't take 3 years for a 2-year authorization. But she is very interested in trying to get municipalities dollars, which we don't get now. It all goes to the state and bigger jurisdictions. But it was, I appreciated the time with her. The Community Fun Day at Discovery Park, congratulations to Mike Lotsky, his staff, city staff, and Laurel Police Department for a well-attended and very fine event. Even though it was a little cool, a little windy, the kids looked like they were having fun, and they all ate a lot of hot dogs. So it was a very fine event. On Saturday, April 6th, there was a cleanup down at the Patuxent River. I did not walk and clean up. My knees are not cooperating right now. But the mayor did. And more important was we had a great turnout by the Hurricane football players and their cheerleaders. And we collected some trash. And the river, there's an awful lot of debris, wood and brush and so on, as the mayor noted, but as far as real trash, they've done a very good job in cleaning it up. Today I met with the Laurel Regional Hospital, the foundation. We had a good turnout. A lot of good things happening at the hospital as far as new staff. Mr. Spearman is convinced that this will be a key player in hospital services in the region as the University of Maryland cooperative agreement takes place. They've already taken over, they're already working in the emergency room, and they're looking at some other services that will be very, very good for citizens of the Laurel area. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple things. Get well wishes to Frank Mills, husband of our city administrator. I want to welcome Christy back as well. Also, with Christy being back, Mr. Fleming's a little bit under the weather, and wish him a speedy recovery as well. The General Assembly ends this evening at midnight. Many things have happened in Annapolis. If you haven't been watching close, one of those in particular is the school board changes, school board takeover, whatever you want to call it. Once the governor signs this legislation, I think that one of the things we'll attempt to do is to invite our representatives here and at least have an informational exchange for the community, or at least over our council chambers, so that everybody knows the different things that will be taking place with that school board change. Part of what is occurring there is the executive will have the power to appoint a superintendent. There'll be some other changes within the board makeup, but I think it's important, once the bill is signed by the governor, that we open up lines of communication to make sure that the general public is well aware of what will take place there. So we will keep everybody posted on that. As you heard, Congresswoman, Donna Edwards was here in the city of Laurel, toured the local businesses along Main Street, as well as other areas in the city, and met with business leaders. I want to thank her for allowing us the opportunity to show her our Main Street, visit our local businesses, and see how the federal government and what they do may or may not help local business here. She also had a reception later that evening, so again, we were glad to be able to host her and welcome her back anytime. As you heard, the Community Fun Day in the park at Discovery Park was held. It was a great turnout. I think anywhere from 250 to 300 people attended that, families. As you heard, it was a little bit cold, and but again, I was very pleased with those that came out and expressed their views regarding what has taken place in some of our parks and in the Laurel area. The first one we had was in Emancipation Park, and we had to cancel that due to the snow and some of the bad weather and all, but we said that we would reschedule that. We have rescheduled that. The Community Fun Day in the park, Emancipation Park, will be on April the 18th from 5 to 7. We encourage the public to come out to show that we are rebuilding our parks, to show that we're not going to tolerate people or individuals or individuals doing what they're doing in our parks, and stand tall and together. So we encourage anybody that would like to come out on the 18th of April from 5 to 7 at Emancipation Park. The Historical Society had their appreciation dinner at the Salute restaurant, and want to thank them for all their hard work and appreciate the invitation as well. On Saturday, you heard the Patuxent River Keepers as well as the Department of Park and Recs had their riverfront park cleanup, and very good turnout. And as you heard, want to thank the Hurricanes in particular and all those volunteers that came out and worked hard to get it cleaned up. And it's a beautiful area, and it takes a lot of hard work to keep it that way. Again, I want to thank Ms. Crary and Mr. Fleming for hosting the Hometown Emergency Preparedness. It's always good to see Maryland Municipal League here in the city of Laurel, and the committee is a very good committee and works very hard helping many communities around the state of Maryland. So, Donna, thank you all. Did attend the coffee conversation with Congresswoman Donna Edwards. Again, she was at the Mount Pelion Cultural Arts Center. Did have the opportunity to attend and listen to what she had to say, and was very informative. And again, it just shows that she's out in the community in her district listening to the people, and that's what some of the other ones down there should be doing, quite frankly. On last evening, I did have the opportunity to attend the First Generation College Bound Board of Directors Appreciation Dinner, which is Joe Fisher. Joe does an outstanding job along with his board of directors, and was happy to attend and bring greetings on behalf of the Mayor and City Council. And the work that he continues to do in this community is outstanding. Tonight we had my time with the mayor. Did have a couple residents show. Appreciate them coming out and expressing their views, concerns, and issues that they may have. The next one will be in 2 months, and we'll make sure we advertise that as well. On April the 13th, the July 4th committee will be doing an indoor yard sale fundraiser at the Laurel Armory at, as I said, on the 13th from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. July 4th committee will also have a fundraiser at the American Legion Post 60 on April the 13th, that same day, from 6 p.m. until midnight. Earth Day on April the 20th at Goody Park. We'll be asking residents to take part. We'll be doing cleanups in that area as well, and you can contact the Department of Park and Recs if you have groups that would like to participate or you would like to participate. And then on April the 26th, Arbor Day at the Avondale Mill picnic area, Riverfront Park at 10 a.m. We'll be doing our annual tree planting. Mr. Ricks just reminded me, the Mayor's Cup for 2013 for the golf tournament, if you're interested in participating, is on Monday, May the 6th, from May the 6th. It's $85 per player. Again, you're hearing a lot of things go on with the July 4th committee, who does fundraising year-round that helps pay for the big celebration that we do, and it's an all-volunteer group, so we encourage people to participate. I have a citation that I need to read, or proclamation, Mr. President. And lastly, we had a press conference regarding the damage that's being done in our parks, as well as the investigators have some undetermined fires that they have linked these all together, or looking at them all together, excuse me. We want to encourage anybody that has any information on any of these fires within the Laurel area. We have posters and the locations that they are looking at. So we have also taken it from $5,000 to $10,000 up to $10,000 for reward. Somebody out there knows something, we're asking you to call the arson tip line at 301-77-ARSON, 301-77-ARSON. And again, just want to remind you, if you see something, you need to say something. And I'm going to go to the podium. Thank you, Mr. President. I do have a proclamation that I want to read. It says, Proclamation 2013-2, which is whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges. And whereas the nation's mayors are increasingly turning to national service and volunteerism as a cost-effective strategy to meet city needs. And whereas national service expands economic opportunities by creating more sustainable and resilient communities and providing education, career skills, and leadership abilities to those who serve. And whereas national service participants were in more than 70,000 locations across the country, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our economic and social well-being. And whereas the National Service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources and strengthens community in the community. Now, therefore, I, Craig A. Moe, be it resolved. Now, therefore, I, be it resolved, Craig A. Moe, the Mayor of the City of Laurel, do hereby proclaim April the 9th, 2013 as National Service Recognition Day in the City of Laurel, and encourage all residents to recognize the positive impact of those volunteers in the City of Laurel and thank them. Mike, won't you come up and I'll present this to you? You know, excuse me, as we have stated, and you heard me talk about the July 4th committee, but volunteerism in this city is very important, and I think that any community looks for strong volunteers and strong volunteer organizations, and I know we use them in Mr. Leszcz's Park and Recs as well as citywide, and I just want to present this to Mike, and again, thank all those volunteers that continue to serve the City of Laurel. Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report. No, go ahead. You're on the general report. You start that.
Good evening.
Your report.
Sorry I'm a bit late. The only thing I'm going to add for my report is that on Saturday, along with my colleagues, Councilman Leszcz and Councilman Ricks, we were at the DePietro Center, and I had an opportunity to talk to one of the members of the Parks and Rec staff about the teen club that the city sponsors. And he was very proud of the fact that the participants, the teens who come out regularly on Friday nights, are very engaged. They're very anxious and participate in the teen club. The parents are thrilled that there's a safe place for their children, their teens to go to on Friday nights. And I just wanted to make it a point of mentioning that because I think sometimes people forget that there are activities that are provided by the city for our teens, for our youth in general. So, Mr. Leszcz, this teen club has been something that's been in existence for quite some time. And I just want to say, Mr. Leszcz, I want to thank you and your staff for doing an excellent job with that.
They're averaging about 28 to 30.
28 to 30, and I think at one point he told me there
45.
had been at least 40, 45 kids who were there participating in the teen club. And also, not only does that take place, and tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Leszcz, at the DePietro Center, but also at the Armory, where middle school kids have an opportunity to come out and play video games and just kind of hang out again in a very safe and comfortable environment. So I just wanted to make a point of bringing that up. We will now move to, and I want to thank Councilman Leszcz for sitting in for me. So we'll move to agenda item 8 agenda item 7, the general public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at 7:21. I have no one signed up to speak for the general public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Seeing no one, I'll close the general public hearing at 7:21. Agenda item 8 is the third public hearing with possible action on ordinance number 1768, an ordinance to enact a new Chapter 3 entitled Animal Control to the Code of the City of Laurel for the purpose of dealing with animal control throughout the city. I read the title into the record for the third reading. I'll open the public hearing at 7:21. I have no one signed up to speak on this agenda item. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. The clock hasn't moved. 7:21. Council, what's your pleasure?
We have an amendment. Did you want to read it?
Councilman Ricks, is there an amendment?
The amendment that I care to make at this time is on page 4 of the document, and the paragraph will read, domesticated animals means an animal of a species that has been bred, raised, and is accustomed to live in or about the habitation of humans, and is dependent on humans for food or shelter. All domesticated animals shall be issued a license by the city. Such license shall be attached to a collar and worn by such animals. That's my amendment to the proposed ordinance number 1768.
Thank you, Councilman Ricks.
Mr.
Any
President,
comments? Councilman Les?
is that a motion and as
That
amended?
is a motion.
That's a motion as amended, yes.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes. I don't think we should be amending this at this time. This should have been discussed during work session, and there's no mention of a microchip. And considering the advancement of vet procedures with dogs and cats, and how many animals are found 5 states away with microchips, that should be considered an alternative to this definition.
Microchips.
I'll take it as a friendly amendment.
It's in there. Microchips is in there.
It is mentioned.
All
In
we're
this
doing is
definition.
taking care of his collar piece on this, that's all this is. But the microchip is in there.
I'll accept that.
Okay. So just so I'm clear now, what are we amending? Now, how are we amending this? Are we just amending as read, or are we making an additional?
I'm amending page 4 of the document under domesticated animals to state as I just read into the record.
Everybody's got it highlighted.
Everybody's got a copy that's
Okay,
highlighted.
all right. I just wanted to make sure that Councilwoman Crary's
Microchip
comments.
should be in the definition, too.
It's in the
It is in the document.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
that tattoo and then the others.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Ms. Rao, please call for the vote.
Mr. Ricks?
Aye.
Mr. Leszcz?
Yes.
Ms. Crary?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholas?
Yes.
President Smalls?
I vote yes.
Mayor Mel?
Okay, good.
Agenda item 9 is the introduction of first public hearing on ordinance number 1770, an ordinance to approve an MXT concept site plan number 833, West Side School Board Property, Van Dusen Road. I've read it, the title into the record for the first hearing. I have Mr. Ed Gibbs. Good evening.
Good evening, thanks very much.
Your name and address for the record, please, Mr. Gibbs.
Edward Gibbs, 1300 Caraway Court, Largo, Maryland, and I am the attorney for Strip Matter Land, and liability company.
I think so, but it's all, you may want to pull it closer to you. Should be up.
How about that? Okay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to have a more detailed presentation on April 22nd before you, but just some very, very brief comments. As I think everyone will remember, we had originally hoped to have one conceptual site plan approved for an integrated development, which was to include the 39-acre strip matter property, and then this property, the 19.89 acres, which we call the State Highway Administration parcel or the Board of Ed parcel, which of course is a piece of land which the State Highway Administration is going to convey to the strip matters as partial compensation for the taking. Strip matters had 64 acres to start with, and they took some 25 for the Conti Road I-95 interchange. So when we came through the last time in January for the approval of the conceptual site plan, this piece couldn't be part of that approval because it was not yet zoned MXT. You, of course, zoned it MXT in January. So we came back, refiled a conceptual site plan for this piece, but it is part of an overall integrated mixed-use development, which, when combined, will include 500 multifamily units, a hotel with up to 150 rooms, 200,000 square feet of commercial retail space, and then, of course, up to 80 residential townhomes. The bulk of that development has already been approved in the conceptual site plan for the strip matter parcel. The balance of the project will be part of the retail and the residential townhomes, which will be on this parcel A. So I did want to let you know that we have now signed our settlement agreement with the State Highway Administration. That is finalized. The court case has been placed on the inactive docket, the condemnation case that is, and we are now only awaiting approval of the Board of Public Works so that the settlement can be consummated. The land will be transferred, and West Side Boulevard, which is the main entrance road running through Parcel A, will then be deeded by the State Highway Administration to the city. So we'll have more comments on the 22nd, but that's sort of an update on where we are and how everything fits together. And once again, we can't say enough about how much we appreciate the hard work of everyone at the city. You know, certainly from all the staff, administration, and of course Mr. Manzi and you as well. So thank you very much, and we'll be back again on April 22nd.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Mayor Moe?
Bob, or Mr. Gibbs may be able to answer. I want to make sure, when that property, the county did, in their master plan, designate that property as MXT as well, didn't it not?
Very, very clearly they
Okay.
did. In one of the amendments in the county resolution that adopted the master plan and the sectional map amendment for subregion 1, before any of this property was annexed into the city, you know, I testified with regard to this property, and there is a finding and an actual amendment in the county council resolution which indicated that MXT zoning and development for this property would be considered appropriate. And in fact, there's a referral letter from the Park and Planning Commission signed by Fern Perrette, the planning director, which confirms that very fact, which is in the record of this case.
I would ask, Mr. Gibbs, at your next hearing that be stressed and that become part of the record as well as any written information that you have.
Absolutely, absolutely, we'll
Thank
do
you,
that.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, this bill needs a sponsor of this ordinance. So in addition to being sponsored by the council president, Mr. Manzi, if you would note with the exception, I didn't see Councilwoman Nicholas' hand go up. So, sponsored by the President and Council. Thank you. Second public hearing with possible action on this ordinance will be scheduled for the next meeting on Monday, April 22nd at 7:00 p.m. Agenda item 10 is the first public hearing on resolution number 3-13, a resolution to make the Laurel Crime Line a city organization rather than a privately operated committee. I've read the title into the record for the first reading. I'll open a public hearing at 7:30. I have no one signed up to speak on this agenda item. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing at 7:30. The second public hearing with possible action is scheduled for the next meeting on Monday, April 22nd, 2013 at 7:00 p.m. Agenda item 11 is the introduction and first public hearing on ordinance number 1759, an ordinance to amend the operating budget of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland for the fiscal year July 1, 2012 through June 30, 2013. I've read the title into record for the first reading. Open a public hearing at 7:31. Ms. Saylor?
Mr. President, we discussed this ordinance at the April 3rd work session. It's our first amendment to the FY13 budget, an increase of $290,626, the largest portion of which is the insurance proceeds for the replacement of Discovery Park, as well as Hurricane Sandy repairs. Additionally, there were contributions to be appropriated, as well as the use of some seized currency to purchase a new canine, or a replacement canine dog. The new balance of the budget is $26,031,693.
Thank you, Ms. Saylor. As Ms. Saylor mentioned, this was discussed at our work session. The second public hearing with possible action is scheduled for Monday, July 22nd, 2013 at 7:00 p.m. Is there any other business to come before the Mayor and City Council? Seeing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
That's quick.